Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Real Substance podcast. Today, I'm joined by Nick Harper, Kevin Savage, and Joe Campion. We'll be discussing the convergence of our building control business. Happy New Year to you all.
Thanks, Sam. I guess we'll just start by introducing ourselves. So I'm Nick Harper, Managing Director of Building and Real Estate.
Morning, and Kevin Savage here, Managing Director of SOCOTEC Building Control.
Hello, good morning. Joe Campion from SOCOTEC Building Control, one of the directors as well.
So that was quite an interesting way to introduce ourselves. That's the first time, I think, a group has introduced ourselves as SOCOTEC Building Control. So this morning, we're going to talk about building control businesses and convergence. So just to kick off, I'll talk a little bit about SOCOTEC Building Control. Was originally an acquisition we made in 2019 of Butler & Young Group. So Butler & Young joined the SOCOTEC family, and they rebranded as SOCOTEC Building Control and integrated into the business through 2020. And during that year, we started to look around the market at acquisitions to strengthen our building control offer. And I guess just for interest, our company, our heritage as SOCOTEC is primarily in France, and that's where the business started originally, back in 1953, in building control as part of the rebuild of Europe following the Second World War. Building control for SOCOTEC is really at the heart of the DNA. So this program was really exciting to us and fulfilled a gap in the UK market or platform that we hadn't dealt with before. So during that period, we met Kevin and Joe through the acquisitions of Shaw and Quadrant. Kevin, do you want to just step through a little bit of the history of Shaw?
Okay, Shaw Engineering, great business that I had set up 22 years ago now with my founding partner, Jeffrey Lisa. He was someone I'd worked with as a trainee at a local authority. We then decided to set up business together, and Jeff's now retired 2 or 3 years ago now. But there are several other key directors in our business. Simon Joyce joined us pretty much 20 years ago. There's been a real aspiration in helping to lead the business. Ryan Fitzgerald, also now leading our consultancy business within SOCOTEC. Matt Hardwick recently joined Ryan in the consultancy, but Steve Kelly joined us from the Corporation of London and from government. He used to work in department supporting building regulation, drafting legislation, etc. He was a great aspirant joining the business. But we also have Neil Fenn, who helped in our CDM business, and more recently Tracy Robertson, who's an associate director with us, who was really helpful in terms of helping to deal with the operational side of the business and back of house matters. A really strong business dealing in both commercial and domestic work, centric to East Anglia, London, but also around the M25, with 50 staff at the latter stages of our sort of offering, and joined SOCOTEC back in 2022, and really looking forward to a strong future.
Just a brief introduction about Quadrant Building Control, where we came from. We started back in 2007 with 4 of us, hence the name Quadrant. And there was Keith Day, Paul Knight, Nick Helsom, and myself. And we set up the business in the East Midlands in 2007 and had a bit of a slow start because of the 2008 credit crash or crunch. It wasn't the best time to start a construction business. Got through that, and we started growing and developing the business in 2014 and really put our foot on the accelerator a bit, which is what we always wanted to do. We opened up offices across primarily the northern parts of the country, but also the London office as well, which was an important step for us to grow that. And we introduced more directors into the business with Andrew Travis and Reece Whitehead, and then Steve Kidd joining us during this journey. And in 2022-23, we became part of SOCOTEC. But yeah, we grew quite rapidly over that period and developed about 15 offices with about 100 odd building control staff. And then we are now joining with SOCOTEC to form an even larger and better building control business.
Thanks, John. So you end up with 3 unique, highly technical, respected businesses within the same sector. And then our next decision was, how do we bring these businesses together? So we've talked about not integration, but convergence. We've taken 3 businesses, and our view very early on was around bringing the 3 businesses together and looking at what each business could bring to the party, perhaps what its key strengths were, and taking the best of those businesses and bringing them together. So it wasn't a question of integrating the 2 businesses into SOCOTEC Building Control, or what was Butler & Young. And a good example of that is we had 3 systems, for example, and quite key to us is bringing the business together and operating on one single system. A panel of staff was put together to review the three systems. And out of the three under review, the team chose VIA, and that was the system that Quadrant brought to the table. So we've now, as part of our convergence, if you like, everybody now operates on the VIA system. And it's one of the benefits that we're looking to create as we converge these businesses. We're looking to align the management team. We've got really great geographic coverage now. SOCOTEC was largely South-centric. I think, Kevin, you guys were based, although you operated across the South, you were based largely out of Colchester, weren't you?
Yeah, Colchester is our main office in Ardley, and we operated out there and travelling to London, around the M25 and across the East Anglian Basin. But Joe's business had much more wider coverage of offices around the UK, bringing a bigger, stronger network of coverage. And so, yeah, together we've got a really strong UK presence now.
Because I think our main presence was East Midlands, then the Northwest as well. They were the two big centres, but then we also developed the London office. I think everybody has to develop a London office to be successful, and hope to do that. And but also in the Yorkshire regions as well. We've got a nice spread across the north of the country, which implements everybody else.
I think conversion through businesses gives us a foothold in Scotland, and we've got our colleagues in Cardiff as well. We've got some real strength in depth in the north, and a good, strong business in the south, as well as London. So I think from a geographical point of view, there were some real benefits to bringing these businesses together. I think there are a couple of other areas I think give us strength. The first of which is the training element. We've focused a lot on bringing new staff in, whether they're apprentices or graduate trainees. We've got to recognise that quite a number of them, I don't quite know how to put this very delicately, but a number of the professionals are, let's say, more mature in their careers. And we've got to future-proof the business. By doing that, I think we focus really on bringing in apprentices, graduate engineers as well. As a larger business, we can appoint somebody like Zoe Cox to lead the training. And Zoe was a member of your team. She was a key member of the Quadrant team for many years, Joe, wasn't she?
Yeah, she joined us a few years ago now, and we brought her in to develop our training and graduate program, and she's combined or come with us to SOCOTEC, and now she's working on the combined business, and I think she's got a wider role, not just in building control, but across the whole of the building real estate now. So yeah, it is.
Yeah, I think as a profession, we're an aging profession. We need to bring in youth and enthusiasm into the profession. And I think the graduate program that we have here at SOCOTEC now, and the strength and depth and breadth that we've got, really does give us the ability to be leaders in training the future of the professionals that take forward building control, not just now, but in the next 5-10 years' time. So we've really got a really strong platform now to take that forward, and that's one of the really exciting parts of, if you like, converging the business. Not the most exciting part, but it's one of the exciting parts. And I think people ask, well, what was the driver behind bringing all three businesses together? And I think it's really important that we could continue to practice, if you like, under our own banners for the next X number of years. But I think SOCOTEC is a great brand in the market, and certainly in the world of building control, had a good name. But I think bringing Quadrant and Shaw into that brand as well really strengthens the breadth and depth. And we talk about hashtag #1 in the world of building control. Well, we're certainly up there. If we're not the #1 leading building control body, we're one of the leading building control bodies. And I think, as Nick has identified in his earlier comments, within the world of SOCOTEC, building control is very much in its DNA, and it wants to have a really strong presence in the UK sector. And bringing in Shaw and Quadrant into what was already a strong business with SOCOTEC has just underpinned and given us a greater platform in which to take forward our aspirations for the years ahead.
I think from my perspective, a couple of just two other areas I wanted to touch on in terms of the convergence was our operational efficiencies. I think with the new system being rolled out, we've got some training to do, but obviously we've got to optimize our back office functions as well. And we can take best-in-class operation and spread it across the business as well, so everybody can benefit from that. I know Tracy Robinson is going to lead that. And I think that, and I say this is the final part, but it's probably the most important part, and it's maintaining quality and the quality of our service. I think Emma Coxall, again, Emma joined your business, Joe, didn't she?
With Quadrant, she joined probably about 8 years ago now. So yeah. She's been long serving, and she's developed the QA system in conjunction with Andy Travis and also Nick Elson. So that was an important step for us to get a good QA system that gives us the foundations to develop our business. And he's come on board, and he's now leading that with the SOCOTEC team as well, I think.
There were some challenges along the way in getting to this point. And people say, what was the timing? What brought you to the first of, or beginning in 2025 as your sort of launch, if you like, of this new combined business? And we had initially intended to do this back in April 2024, but we hit some challenges in that journey. First of all, the regulatory changes that came about in April, as well as trying to bring everybody together, transferring our surveyors into registered building inspectors, dealing with new regulations, becoming registered building control approvers, as well as getting everybody onto an IT platform, aligning our HR platforms, getting our leadership team all in the same place, and our website changed, became such a challenge, and also agreeing it with our regulator. So we took a decision that it was back in, I think it was January last year, that we were not going to be able to hit our April deadline, which was a shame. And we very much wanted to deliver our businesses earlier than this. But it is important that sometimes you reflect on what you can deliver successfully. And when you think you can't, you realign and you go again. And that's very much what we've done. We've spent a lot of time this year as a team getting our businesses together, getting our staff together, getting our clients aware of this change, getting our regulator aware of this change, and getting our systems ready for this move. And we're delighted that we finally reached that point, and we're launching, as I say, effectively from now.
I have to say, Kevin, I'm a non-practitioner in your world, but from my perspective, I hadn't really understood the strength and depth of changes that were going to come about in the sector, just in terms of the RBI process and getting everybody registered, and the RBCA then process in terms of licenses. So I think, although it was a difficult decision at the time, I think the workload that we were asking of the team was so big at that point. We had little choice but to almost kick the can down the road in some regard. But I feel, looking back on it, reflecting on it, that was one of the better decisions that we made last year. And I think it's probably made the back end of Convergence, in terms of whether it's trooping of staff or rolling out IT systems, it's made it, I'm not going to say easy, but certainly more manageable than we anticipated.
Definitely good. So I think you're going to talk about the transition for clients and stuff.
And I think I just wanted to talk about, with us being a converged business now, what's this going to feel like to the clients who we currently deal with, especially within Shaw and Quadrant. And what we've tried to do, and what I'd like to say is, it's business as normal, really. The same contacts that you had before. If you've got a telephone number for your building inspector or the local office, it'll be the same telephone number. It'll be the same people working there. We like to say the wrapper might have changed, but the people are still the same. We're maintaining the existing phone numbers and the existing addresses. The email addresses will change to SOCOTEC UK rather than Quadrant and Shaw. So there will be a bit of a change there, but you'll basically still be able to contact your building inspector and your local teams in the same way as you always have before. We're looking at trying to provide the same high level of standard of service that we currently provide. And we're really proud about that within all parts of the former business. And we want to have that feeling within the Converge business, that we still very focused on providing the same high standard of care that we currently provide. But building on that, because we're now part of the SOCOTEC group of companies, there's a wider range of services which are provided within that group of companies, and a wider range of expertise that we have within that group of companies, and we're able to draw on that and pull on that and gain that expertise. So if there's any questions which are coming through from clients, we might not actually understand them ourselves and know what the answers are, but we do know somebody who can answer those questions and can respond. We can divert the questions or pass them on to somebody else, get those questions answered, and also offer a wider range of services to all our existing clients as well. And the SOCOTEC Building Group, not just the building control team, the SOCOTEC Group do provide a wide range of testing, inspection and certification, which might be of interest to our clients. So we're able to provide all that where previously we weren't.
So I think, Joe, that the only thing that's really going to change is the way the phone's answered, isn't it?
Yes, right. It will be. As I introduced myself there, I had to catch myself. And so it's going to be good morning, SOCOTEC Building Control, rather than Quadrant Building.
Sure, and do. Yeah, I'm going to have to start referring to SOCOTEC. SOCOTEC in Colchester, SOCOTEC, Manchester, Sheffield, and what have you. Whereas before, I guess we called them Quadrant offices, and that's going to be one of the transitions for the staff as well, I guess.
I think that's going to be the toughest thing for the people who are actually talking to clients, that we're going to be catching ourselves time and time again. But we are getting there. And I think most people within the business have actually gone down that journey and started doing that already, and they're starting to think about themselves as part of the SOCOTEC team. And it's really pleased how that's gone.
I think it's worth just mentioning that we've got some FAQs on the website around transition for clients from a client perspective. We've done something internally with our staff as well in terms of FAQs, but those FAQs, whether you've got something in flight with SOCOTEC or Quadrant or Sure at the minute, I think there's some good explanation on the website at the moment, isn't there?
Yeah, just that. There's information on the website, should be available there, but any existing project which you have is still going to be run and managed in the same way as you previously experienced. It's just that it will be run and managed by people who are now part of the SOCOTEC team, rather than previously it was Shaw and Quadrant, but it'll be the same people dealing with the same jobs. So there shouldn't be any, the clients out there shouldn't experience any difference and any change from this convergence.
Good. One of the things we need to talk about is some of the challenges that we had along the way. And what's one word that perhaps describes your thoughts on, Joe, on the actual transition getting into this road?
Honestly, it's probably just relief. It's been a hard couple of years to get to this place, but from the 1st of January, we're now part of SOCOTEC Building Control. We're part of the SOCOTEC team. It's all converged. We've all changed our job titles or email addresses. We're all answering the phones now as SOCOTEC Building Control. Just really relief that we've managed to get to this stage, because it's been a lot of hard work to get here.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. My word was challenging, but I've said it already 7 times. But it was fun challenging in some respects. I learned a lot on that journey, and I scratched my head a lot, and I had some moments of despair on the way, some fun as well in coming up with different ideas and implementing some of those changes. And if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. And I think that, yes, it has made us stronger, I think, going through this process, and very much looking forward to delivering that going forward. But Nick, what do you feel?
So for me, is complicated. So that was, my view was complexity. And what crystallized that in my mind was I was at a meeting in Paris with our French colleagues, and I was speaking to the group IT director about what we were attempting to do in the UK around our acquisition program and then our convergence program. And he was stunned at the size and complexity of the project and wished us all the luck with it. The second part of that is, although it's been a very complex project and we've had teams working on different elements of it, I think what has come through for me and what I learned from it was we really got to focus on the people and the people in our business. We embarked on some face-to-face town halls. Joe and I spent 3 days wandering around the country, Joe, talking to your side. I know you've done some town halls in London, and we're going to continue doing that through into the new year, but actually communicating effectively to our staff internally and ensuring that they were aware of the changes and if not altogether comfortable with them. I think we've got to be honest with that. Change does make people uncomfortable. At least they were aware of what we were doing, why we were doing it, and we were giving them a roadmap and some comfort about the future. So I think complicated was certainly my takeaway, and not to lose sight of the people.
Because I think what you're saying then, Nick, is actually really important, because making ourselves available to people all the way through this process, and anybody has got concerns, we're not just on the end of the phone. We actually went out there, we were going out to talk to people, or we were putting ourselves and making ourselves available for them to raise questions directly to us. And I think that went a long way to actually settling people down, making them more comfortable with it.
Well, I felt we had a conference this year and we had a conference last year, and I felt, I don't know what you guys think, but I felt the mood at the 2024 conference was markedly different to the previous year. And it felt like people were less cliquey. There was a bit more integration. There was certainly a lot more chat in the room. I don't know what your views were.
Yeah, I'd say exactly the same. I think when we had the first conference, which was April 2023, which was just after the acquisition had been announced, or a couple of months after, everybody was still a little bit standoffish, a bit cautious about the whole arrangement. People didn't feel comfortable, I don't think, and yet we had the conference back in November 2024, a couple of months ago, and just in those 18 months, a real big difference in change of attitude, and the feel of people in the room was altogether different.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Although I felt incredibly unwell during the conference, I still very much felt that we'd come on a journey and people were much more engaged in talking to each other and felt like they were merging towards one business. So I thought it was a really positive vibe at conference, and yeah, very much agree with your two thoughts on that as well. But we probably need to bring this sort of to a conclusion. And so any sort of final thoughts from anybody around the room?
Yeah, from myself, with not just looking at building control, but the wider building and real estate business and SOCOTEC itself, there's going to be a lot more legislative change, particularly within the construction sector. We know it's coming. We know there'll be more recommendations this year. And just a real message to both our customers and our staff that we're here to help support you, whether it's on an education piece internally and externally, or professional advice, that we're here to support both our staff and our customers through that complex change that I think we're still in the middle of in terms of the legislative framework.
We've got through this convergence. We're now a combined building control business where we've got over 300 people working in the building control business, probably, I think it's over 30 offices across the country. That excites me because that's the starting point, and I can see this and the ability for us to grow, develop, and get better as well. And we're going to be looking to drive building control further and do things which has been done in the industry before. And having that well-qualified, experienced and technically excellent team of building inspectors within the business, it really allows us to drive that forward. And hopefully what we'd like to do is become a trusted source of knowledge in the construction industry for building regulations. And if we can do that and develop that, it's an exciting place to be. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Joe. Yeah, we've got great plans for the future. As we said, we talked about growing internally through our graduate program. We've got some really detailed surveyors that have worked across the wide range of projects, not just on tower blocks, but commercial offices, retail, domestic extensions. We can provide building control across the full spectrum of projects, both consultancy and statutory work. We really are set up for a really progressive next 5 years. I'm looking forward to leading that business over that journey. I really have appreciated the efforts and the support I've had from those around me, particularly those in the room today.
Thanks all for taking the time to join me today and sit down to record this podcast. We thought it was quite important actually to go over the recent convergence and discuss the key information and how things might look in the future. So if you've got any questions, please feel free to get in touch with us. Thanks for listening and best wishes for 2025.